welcome to Salish Sasquatch, where we share Sasquatch evidence as well as encounters. Today is a rare one. We're going to be interviewing a family that has had ongoing Sasquatch activity for many, many years with the same group of Sasquatch. Their story is very similar to ours. There's a lot of behavioral things that align with what we have experienced, and I'm very excited about this. Not only are you going to hear from the parents, but you're also going to hear from their 12-year-old daughter. Now, we also heard that one of her classes is going to be watching this video, so we would like to dedicate this video to Mrs. Reed's English class. I hope that you guys are the generation that embraces the truth of these creatures so that you can know about the biggest mystery of our time. Now, for the third year in a row, there is a group of students out of Hoquiam, Washington, who have secured protection for Sasquatch in Mason County. So a shout out to Andrea Andrews' 5th grade class. You guys are awesome, and I hope that you guys keep doing this every year.
Where's the flat spot? There's a flat spot up there because I showed her. You can see that one tree. It's flat right there. Where that one tree stump is that's dead.
Yeah, that's where I was suspecting maybe they were coming down from because it goes at an angle.
Yep, and I bet you he just stands right there and watches them as
we could go
they're
walk
down
the road
here.
too.
Yeah, I want to walk the road today.
So have you ever seen one besides in the shadows?
When I ran directly into Click. So I'm playing Pokemon, which is silly. Sad that I'm more embarrassed about that than Bigfoot stories, but playing Pokemon, and there's a Pokestop up here, so I was walking up to get it, and it's dark. I think I had my flashlight on, but it was pointed down, and I look like a teenager. I'm like this, and I'm probably walking about this speed, and I'm silent, and I get to about here, something in front of me shuffles backwards. I mean, you heard him shuffle. He stopped probably about here, and I was about me to you at this point, maybe a little bit closer. And I heard him shuffle, so I looked up. And I didn't shine my light up, I just looked up. And he was right here, and I went, "Huh!" And he went, "Huh!" And I went, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." And I looked right down, and I turned around, and I apologized all the way back to the camper.
But his sound was mimicry. It sounded just like...
Same exact sound I made.
I know it was brief, but what did you see?
He was about the width of 2 of me. He was humongously wide looking. Now his arms were at his sides. He didn't ever move his arms. He just stood like this. I couldn't, because I was lower than him. I didn't get a look at his eyes, and I didn't ever shine my light up. I saw that his mouth was open, and you could see the outline of his teeth. His nose was not, it didn't look like an ape. It looked much more human shaped coming down. It was wider than a human's, but it wasn't that pop out nose and mouth that you see on apes. And I noticed his fingers were really long. I remember noticing that. I didn't ever look at his feet, which is crazy because that would be what I think I'd want to see the most, just how big are your feet really. But it was so fast. I mean, I looked at him long enough to squeal and turn around. It was that
About
fast.
how tall?
About 6'2", probably. One of our friends that's with us, her husband is 6'2", and he stood here, and I went, yeah, that's about the height he was. He didn't look... The biggest thing that looked big about him was his width. It wasn't like he was ungodly tall. He did have big shoulders, and just covered in dark hair. And had I not run into him, I could have walked right past him.
Some people say that their width is often half of their height.
I would believe that, because he was 2 of me. I mean, he was huge.
Have you ever smelled them?
No, not normally. However, after I ran into Click, like after he screamed, there was a smell. But there wasn't a smell until after he screamed. As I'm walking away, there's a stench behind me. I don't know if I scared the poop out of him and he farted.
Or if it was something that...
Or if it was something that he was capable of emitting. And a lot of animals do that. I work in animal rescue. My best friend owns an animal rescue. And even dogs, if you scare them good enough, they'll put off a pungence. But otherwise, I haven't smelled them out here, ever. It's the only
And then
time.
when you got back, your husband
Said that I smelled like I pooped my pants. So the park rangers around here know they're here. And if you are an obnoxious camper here, if you are loud, if you're throwing beer cans in trash, they will drive you out. We've had reports of tents shaken violently. We've had reports of just them pounding on the tents and whacking their cars. Or
this is the park ranger tells you this?
yeah, they don't want somebody coming to their home and trashing it. You know, this is where they raise their family. This is where they fish. This is where they hunt. This is where they come for goodies in the trash cans, you know? So
They'll scare you out of here?
they'll scare you out of here real fast.
Okay.
Okay, so we're camped in this spot, and I had my neighbor Jeff and his girlfriend with us. It was Chris's birthday weekend. He wasn't here yet, so it was just us. I was staying in their trailer with them that night. And Jeff was a huge skeptic. He actually heard a scream over in Eastern Washington last summer. So he came out here. He's been out here a couple times, and he was more of a believer this trip. But he's sitting right here. We've got the gas fire pit right there. My minivan is parked, actually. Those are my mud spots. I did those mud spots there. So my minivan's parked literally right here. Trailer's there. Back of my minivan is about here. And we're sitting, just drinking, hanging, you know? And I'm totally oblivious. Have no idea that they're around because they didn't have the dogs. And apparently it was standing behind my minivan and did one of these where it leaned out. Well, Jeff just happened to see it. You know, when somebody who didn't believe finally sees one, it's hilarious because they fall backwards in their chair and scream bloody murder. So he knocked himself over screaming. Like, yep, you saw it, Jeff.
And you think this was Click?
I think so.
Because he's the one that gets closest?
Yeah, he usually does. And Mama does too, but Mama likes to stay right along the water. That's where she feels
and
safe.
you usually just see like her silhouette in
Yeah,
the
you see her
shadows and
shadows.
stuff. And then you said you've never seen the big male. You think
I've
he
never seen
stays
the big
up
male.
and watches?
Yeah, he's who Livy saw that night, though, that looked into the tent.
My mom heard shaking of like where you put the tent part down, then you throw it back up to like cover the tent up. She heard it shaking, and I was like still passed out. But I looked up like barely, and then the face was like kind of open over the tent, just staring at me. I didn't like it. It was funny.
What did it look like?
So, like, how do I explain it? If you look at a regular Bigfoot drawing, the face is more usually out, but it really wasn't. It was more like in. If that makes any sense.
Like
I don't know.
more like a human face?
Yeah, more.
Not like a caveman?
It was more like blocky shape too.
What did you hear when you heard the tent shaking?
It sounded like somebody, sounded like something was grabbing because at the foot of the tent I had the cover laid because I knew that we'd had a little bit of rain, and so I was running every night to put it up. When we camp alone, when it's just Liv and I out here, they are always close. I mean, I've camped here for Tina is 21, so 24 years I've camped here, and
In this same spot?
generally, yeah.
When you've been in the outhouse, what
I've been in
happened?
the outhouse, and it was one of the times it was going to take a little bit longer in there. He throws rocks, and if I don't come out, in the time it takes to go number one, he came down one time and just the side of the outhouse. Oh, when we came up, it was Chris's birthday weekend. We come up, we've got our neighbors, my best friend and her husband, and we're all camping and having a good time. And I made stir fry. I made a bunch of vegetables and then a bunch of meat. I finished, everybody had eaten, the vegetables. Nobody wanted any more. I'm like, I'm not wasting these. So I walked out in the woods and set them on a stump. And I went back, cooked meat. I was like, oh, I'll walk the leftover meat out to them, you know? So I walked over to get the meat, or to put the meat out. They'd thrown the plate with the vegetables. They chucked it. I came back with the meat, and everything was gone.
Did they make any noises? Like, why did you think it was them that did it? Were they making noises at you or giving you any?
No, but Lucy had been pointing weird all night. So, and when she points weird, we all go, they're around. And then...
Dogs always know. They can smell.
Yeah.
They're
like
giveaway.
Yeah.
And then that night, Jessica had something large, or her trailer's higher off the ground. It's big enough that Lucy could stand up and run under it. So it's decent off the ground. They thought that we were screwing with them all night because they said there was something crawling underneath the trailer and like sounded like a hand smacking the bottom of their trailer. And I was like, it's because your husband said they don't exist.
Tell me about your dogs. How long have they been out here? And
So Lucy's a year old, and we got her, they told us she was 3-4 months. She was really only like 8 weeks. And so she's been out here since we got her. The first weekend we got her, we were up here. We camp all the time with them. So she doesn't mind the Bigfoot. Neither of them have ever chased one, ever. But Lucy will let you know where they are. She points at them and then she follows them. She just sits or stands in one spot, but she is watching as they go, and she'll let you know exactly where they are at what point in time, which is kind of cool.
but the other one?
Scared to death.
Mm-hmm.
Scared to death. Ollie sees him and he is sitting at the camper door just begging to go in.
Okay, so what I was asking you is, you guys get most of the activity when your husband's not here? So you haven't seen him, you just call him Click because of the horse clicking sound he makes at you?
Mm-hmm.
What does it sound like?
Just that.
Oh, yeah?
Exactly that.
And you guys will do it back and forth?
We did it once and it was very long. Mom was very confused.
She didn't know what it
Thought it
was?
was your dad.
Oh, yeah.
It was my dad again.
She's sitting around the fire. She just listened to a podcast. They had a lady on talking about how little younger Sasquatches click, like, and her friend are sitting and doing it back and forth, back and forth. I'm sitting at the fire reading. I don't know where Chris is. And all of a sudden, coming from the bushes, they're getting clicks back. And the kids are clicking and whatever's in the bushes is clicking. And I'm going, babe, you're not funny. Come out of the bushes. Okay, honey, come out of the bushes. Text him. That's not funny. Get out of the bushes. Come on. Come on, babe. And they're still going and going. Clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking. Probably 15 minutes of this. Finally, I called him. I'm like, listen, I am now thoroughly scared. I don't know where you are. Get out of the bushes. And he opened the truck door.
So generally there's not owls out where we're at right here. We don't normally see them, but we have a set of bald eagles. So we'll hear the screeching from the bald eagles. But there was one night we were out here and there was not a screech owl or a barn owl, just a whoo type of hoot. But you waited for about 10 seconds and across the ridge, there would be a reply coming back. It wasn't an echo. You could tell an echo would hit rather sooner than later and come back. But for about 15, 20 minutes, every about, 5-10 minutes, there would be a couple, woohoo!
But they didn't sound right.
It didn't sound like it sounded like an owl, but you could tell it wasn't an owl type of sound. Like something was off. Like we've heard plenty of owls where we live. We have barn owls or owls that come back and forth that are down in our neighborhood, but this didn't sound like them. It sounded like a hoot hoot owl, but it wasn't. So from up that way up on the ridge, you'd hear the replies coming back and forth between ridge and ridge.
Didn't one of you guys say that one time you guys heard them make the owl sound and then another sound afterward, another sound following it?
Yeah.
Like some sort of language or
Ape-like sound? Gibberish type of...
Okay, so what did it do?
So I heard the hooting sound, and then she was walking around somewhere else, and you heard, like, shortly afterwards... Hoo, hoo! Hoo, hoo! But other than that, I've heard a couple knocks before. There's been some rocks that we've heard fall that we don't have, like, enough for, like, some rocks to just come rolling down on us. So we've heard rocks fall or come up by the campsite. But as far as other voices, no, just a little bit of the rah, 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 rah type
Your
of stuff.
daughter told us today that lots of rock throwing, but it never hits you guys.
No.
They get a lot more activity though than when you're not here.
Right. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's because of me or a male presence or
Yeah.
whatever else it is. But she has the more activity with the rock throwing and the knocks from the wood and stuff like that.
As if they get closer, whereas you hear the sounds that are further off.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you believe that when you're not here, they feel comfortable getting a little bit closer.
A lot closer.
Okay.
For example, there was one time I was sitting, we were in one of these spots over here, and I was sitting in my truck, had to take a phone call from my son or something. I was sitting in my truck and trying to be in a quiet, dark area and just talk to them while they were enjoying the campfire. And I was in there for what, a half hour?
We were in there for a long time.
Half hour, 45 minutes, but she thought I was trying to play with them and do stuff, and she was like, hey babe, are you throwing rocks? Are you doing this stuff? I'm like, I come out of the car door, I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been on the phone for the last half hour. She goes, well, something's either throwing rocks
That's
or
when Click was
moving
down
stuff around, and I thought that was you trying to prank, our daughter and this, that, and the other, and I was like, no, I've been in the truck the whole time.
So you've been coming here for over 20 years, but how long have you been aware of Sasquatch?
Since she found him when she was like 5.
She was the first to see one?
Well, she was the first to see one, but she also found Finding Bigfoot and brought Finding Bigfoot into her life. And I went, I don't know. And she's like, no, Mom, they're real. They're real. They're up where we camp. She's like, Mom, I'm serious. She's like, you just need to pay more attention. I'm like, you're 5. Knock it off. And next time we came up, we paid attention. I'm like, all those strange things that have been happening out there for years make a lot more sense. Peanut butter crust.
So, Mom told me that they like peanut butter. So I was like, so we bring peanut butter and we put it over there on the lake. So we
On the
went
other
on
side.
On the other side over there. So we went on our kayaks and we went over there with the peanut butter, me and my dad. And we tracked back a little and we set some peanut butter down. We took like the plastic part off, but
Screwed the lid back on.
screwed the lid back on. So then we came back a little after
The day we left.
So we came back and we went to go check the peanut butter. And when we got back and we looked at the peanut butter, it looked like it was scooped out by finger and it was like gone, just like every last bit.
Was the lid unscrewed or was the bottle
Yeah,
damaged?
It wasn't damaged, the lid was unscrewed.
Okay, what happened?
So I can't quite remember what I left out, but I left out a gift for them. I think it was marshmallows. They really like marshmallows. And so I left out the marshmallows and we came back like, what was it, Mom?
What?
We came back in the morning, right?
No, we were camping.
We were camping.
And we went to bed.
We went to bed with the what is it, marshmallows out.
Yeah, you left marshmallows out for them.
And after that, I came back and on the table where the peanut butter was,
Where the marshmallows were.
the marshmallows were, there was like a little glowy bouncy ball thing and it was really cool. And you could tell it was old and because like the light inside of it wouldn't light up. So it was really cool and I loved it and it's still in the camper somewhere but I don't want to go find
So
it.
it was in place of the marshmallows?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
She's gotten...
I've heard of that before, of them doing that, and it usually, like you say, it's something old, probably something that another camper left a few years ago.
They're everywhere in this state.
I agree.
Seriously. I
agree.
mean, everywhere. I mean, there's so much room for them. There's so many travel corridors. I mean, I don't think they're downtown Seattle, but I mean, you get outside any city, anywhere, the edges of the cities, they're all over the place. There's way more of them than people think.
So basically, I was sitting in the I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was just chilling. So I felt something press its hand against the, what's it called? The tent. And I went, oh! And I just poked it. It put its hand back and I just went, pow! I put my hand against the tent. and I felt some like finger thing just poke my hand again. And we kept sitting there doing this for like, how long?
I don't know.
It was a while.
A while, for sure.
We were out here at Thanksgiving, and I wanted to show Chris your videos, Chris and Liv. She'd seen 1 or 2 of them, and then there was one where you were playing vocalizations, and within how long was it, Liv, before we heard that roar, do you think? Couple minutes, maybe not even, but there was a nice big roar. Not long, not like you hear on like Finding Bigfoot where they scream for a long time, you know. It was just enough to say,
More of a growl.
yeah, knock that off. Rah! I messaged Missy and she was like, stop it, that's dangerous, you don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you turned it off.
we turned it off, and now if we
Yeah.
want to watch the videos, it's only in the trailer.